Hey, what's happening? Welcome to the channel. This is Living in Alberta. Today we're going to take a look at what it costs to buy a house in Red Deer in 2023. Yo, what's up? My name is Kyle. Welcome to the channel. If you've been here before, welcome back. On this channel, we make videos about what it's like to live in or move to Alberta. So if that's something that interests you, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Definitely click the notification bell so you are notified every single week when a new video comes out. And of course, if you would like any help with real estate needs or just have any specific questions, use this information popping up. Get a hold of me any way you want. Phone, text, email. Would love to hear from you. All right, with that being said, let's do it. All right, let's dive right into it. I get asked a lot of questions on what kind of cost to expect when buying a house. What are the real estate prices are like? We're going to kind of break down everything today, from closing costs to things that you should expect while you're buying a home, to realtor fees, to the whole 9 yards, so that when you guys do decide to buy a house, maybe you can refer back to this video and it can answer any questions that you might have. So let's get right into it. First off, of course, if you're going to buy a house in Red Deer, you're going to kind of want an idea of what the real estate market is like and how much real estate is in the city of Red Deer. Now, I think that Red Deer does a very, very good job of blending affordability. It's one of the most affordable markets in the country with employment opportunity, and a big reason that people are moving to Red Deer, especially from out of province who've never been to Alberta before, is they like that it's just such a central location right in between Edmonton and Calgary. So you're never too far away from whether it's airports or the big city. So it is making Red Deer a very popular place, a very popular destination for people moving here from out of the province. So right now, it is still a very hot market here in the central Alberta area, all over Alberta really. Just as an example, I wrote 2 offers on homes last week, and both of them went into multiple offer situations. And I listed a home last week as well, and someone put in an offer without even viewing it at full ask price. So the real estate market is super hot here.
Oh, what the hell? Let's buy a house.
Yeah. We have a very low inventory, and because of all the people moving here, there is a ton of demand. So just to kind of give you an idea of what a seller's market looks like, the key stat when we talk about inventory and whether it's a seller's market or a buyer's market is the months of inventory. Red Deer right now is sitting at just over 2 months. So anything under 2.5 months of inventory is considered a seller's market, which means the sellers have the advantage. Anything over 3 months, we start to creep up into the buyer's market territory. 2.5 to 3 is more of a balanced market, which is kind of where we like to see things. But right now, the market is very hot. We're coming out of the winter time. Springtime is here. So if you are about to move to Red Deer, you're writing an offer, you have to have all your ducks in a row and you have to put your best offer forward. Now, if we look at the average cost or the median cost of real estate in the city of Red Deer, and we're going to use 2022's numbers because we're only into April of 2023, so I don't think it's as accurate as it should be and there's not enough data. But through 2022, the median price for a detached home within the city was $371,000. So very, very affordable. It wasn't long ago where Red Deer was named the most affordable market in the country. Now, there's other things to look at other than just the price of a home. So when we look at property taxes, Red Deer has a property tax rate of 0.99% of the assessed value. So on a $500,000 home, you're looking at roughly $5,000 a year in property taxes.
Oh my God, so affordable.
I'm gonna buy a house.
Now, a little bit of a tip here. A lot of people, when they're buying a home, you can go on to the city websites or whatever town you're looking for a home in. You can look up the assessed value. Now, the assessed value is not an accurate representation of market value. They are two completely different things. You do not want to go by the assessed value. It is almost always significantly lower than the market value. And this is a good thing. You don't want to be paying more taxes. So the city doesn't have enough appraisers to go door to door and do a thorough assessment of everyone's property. They do mass appraisals. They look at kind of what comparable properties that's sold for in the neighborhood, and they don't even go inside the house. So when you are going on the city website, don't put too much clout into the assessed value of the home. You actually do want it to be lower so you are paying less property taxes. Now, I really wanted to kind of give you an overall picture of the pricing in Red Deer. So I'm going to jump on the map here And again, super broad. We're just gonna kind of touch on some things so you can get an idea of kind of the real estate picture in different areas of the city. All right, so we have the map pulled up. And again, I just want to give you a super broad area, kind of the pricing picture and areas within the city of Red Deer. So as we've talked about many times on this channel, the north end of the city is widely considered to be everything on this side of the river. Everything on this side of the river will be considered South Red Deer. Now I'm going to leave downtown out for the sake of this video. We're just going to kind of talk about north and south, and we're going to kind of dive into some areas. So let's head up to the north end a little bit here. Let's zoom out a little bit. So if we look at the median price between the north and the south end, there is quite a big difference. So the median price on the north end of Red Deer through 2022, and I'm not going to use 2023 numbers yet because we just don't have enough data, it was $322,000. If we compare that to the median price on the south end of Red Deer, we're looking at $389,000. So you can see there is a fair bit of difference there. Now, the big reason why the north end is a little bit cheaper and more affordable than the south end is because it is an older area of the city. So the city has been growing south for a long time, last 20 years or so. The north end hasn't got a lot of love, but we have a look at the north end, the central area of the north end. So we get neighborhoods like Glendale, and we get Normando, Highland Green, Oriole Park. So this is the old version of Oriole Park. There's a new one called Oriole Park West, and we get Riverside Meadows. These are all older neighborhoods, and the median price in this central area of the north area is actually $275,000. It doesn't start jumping up until we get into these newer, and these aren't brand new neighborhoods, they are newer, 2000 and plus. Oriole Park West, Johnstone and Johnstone Park are a little bit newer, as well as Kentwood, and Pines is an older neighborhood. It is a very desirable older neighborhood on the north end. Now, if we head down to the south end of the city, this is where you start to see the median prices in Red Deer start to creep up, especially along this southern part of Red Deer. This southeast section of Red Deer is a very, very popular area. It's very desirable. You get newer neighborhoods. So if we look here, I consider this to be southeast. So we have Anders, Inglewood, we got Vania Woods, Vania East. This is Laredo right in here. It's not yet on Google Maps. Just as an example, so Laredo is a newer neighborhood. There's new construction going on there. Vania East is newer, but not as new as Laredo. The average price point between these two neighborhoods through 2022 was $530,000. So you compare that to the median price point of the entire city of $371,000. That's a fair bit of difference. Now, as we start to move upwards north and central, we get older neighborhoods here. So 1980s, 1990s, Deer Park and Rosedale. And then if we just zoom in a little bit, see if we can get these to pop up. This is all an older section of Red Deer. So a lot of the homes in these areas were built in the mid-1900s, 1950s to 1970s. So you start to see that price point come down again. It's not to say that they're not desirable neighborhoods, they absolutely are, it's just older. So obviously the homes aren't gonna be as expensive as a newer home. Sunnybrook, the price starts to jump up a little bit again. So in here, the average price point is $319,000. Again, these are all older neighborhoods. And if we look at Sunnybrook, which is an older neighborhood, we're back up to that $390,000. Over here, this is still considered South Red Deer. So we have neighborhoods like Pierview, Timberstone. Across the way, we have Garden Heights right here. And then up here, we have Evergreen, there's a lot of new construction, a lot of show homes going on there right now. These are all newer neighborhoods, still considered South Red Deer. Again, you start to see that pricing picture, those median prices start to go up again. So I don't want to get too stuck in the weeds as to different median prices of all these neighborhoods. There really is something for everyone's budget, whether you're looking for a detached home or an apartment, or maybe a row townhouse or a semi-detached home. There's something for everyone's budget in all of these neighborhoods. I just wanted to give you a very, very, very broad overview of the general pricing picture of the city of Red Deer. All right, guys, I hope that map video was helpful to you. I know when you're moving out of province, and especially if you've never visited the area before, it can be super stressful. So I want to give you as much information as possible. Let's just kind of touch on some other things that everyone probably already knows, but when you are buying real estate here, and this isn't just Red Deer specific, there is no land transfer tax. So you are going to save a ton of money here just by buying a house in Alberta.
Let's go buy mama a new house.
Again, we don't have the provincial sales tax, we just have GST. Now, when you're looking at a home on Realtor.ca or the MLS, If it has been lived in before or it's a resale home, GST is going to be included in that price. If you are looking at a new build, most of the time the builder will put the GST into the purchase price. Again, that's, you want to do your due diligence and make sure, just double check that, make sure that the GST is in there. It could potentially be applicable, but something to consider when you are buying a new home. And we'll look at some more costs later on in the video when we are buying new construction. All right, let's quickly touch on using a realtor to help you buy a home. I get asked this question all the time, and no, there are no fees to use an agent to represent you in a purchase. So when you are buying a home, the person who has listed that home, the seller, will pay both the agents, so the listing agent as well as the buying agent. Now, I don't want to make this sound like some greasy salesman realtor plug, but if it's free, why not use a realtor to represent you? In my opinion, it's like going to court without having a lawyer.
Where are the lawyers your company sent?
Do I need one?
Buying and selling homes is not something we do all the time, and your agent can hook you up with property inspectors, lawyers, mortgage brokers as well. When we talk about mortgage brokers, they also don't charge you. So the mortgage broker will be paid by the person that they get the loan from. So free to use a mortgage broker, and I always recommend using a mortgage broker over a bank for many reasons that we won't get into. I've made lots of videos about that. But if it doesn't cost you anything to use an agent or use a mortgage broker when you are purchasing a home, you might as well have some representation. All right, let's talk about cost to expect when you are purchasing a home. First off, we're just going to talk about the offer itself and the buying process, and we're going to kind of talk about new construction versus resale. But the one thing that I highly suggest that you do not cheap out on is a property inspection. This can save you a ton of headache, and it can save you potentially a ton of money. When you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on a home that you might live in for the rest of your life, or it could be your family home, why would you cheap out on $500? Property inspection here, the area that I'm in, the company that I use, is $525 plus GST. That is such a minimal amount that it just does not make any sense to me not to get a property inspection. And there's lots of things that come up in a property inspection that you might not even think about. We wrote an offer on a home last week or the week before, and the property inspection revealed a lot of things. And obviously I can't say where this property was, but it was a DIY job. They laid flooring over top of heating vents. There was mice in the house, mice shit everywhere in the attic, in the main floor. So these are huge. I mean, it may not seem like a huge thing to people, but I know for me personally, if I know there's mice in a house, I don't really know if I want to live in that house. It might be easy to get rid of them. It might not. Those little bastards are stubborn. But that $500, you know, it could save you potentially a lot of renovations you might have to do because someone did a super shitty job in their DIY. They didn't have OCD and they didn't pay attention to detail. Now, some other inspections that you might want to consider is a sewer scope, especially in older neighborhoods where there is a lot of big mature trees. So those roots, they have to grow somewhere. They can grow right into the sewer. You are responsible from where the city is to on your side of the property, and things can shift, things can happen. So again, this are all optional, but in an older neighborhood, especially if there's lots of big trees, I would definitely suggest getting a sewer scope, spending that couple $100. Now, there are some other things. For example, if there is a wood burning stove, you have to get a wet inspection. Your insurance is going to require it. So that will be another $225 to $275. And yes, there's been situations that I've heard of that even in a new build, they forgot to connect the sewer to the city line. So it's super important to get these inspections done. Now let's briefly talk about new construction. A lot of the times builders don't like to move a whole ton on their price because they have a lot of homes that are very similar. So if they decrease the price on one home, they're going to have to decrease the price on another home. But when you are buying new construction, there are some costs that you're going to have to consider. Obviously, you still want property inspections, yes, even on a new home. Some costs to consider is that most likely, depending on the time of year, there isn't going to be any landscaping done. They'll just have graded the dirt, so you're going to have to pay for sod and landscaping. A lot of time there won't be a fence. You'll have to pay for a fence, a deck, There's a lot of things that might not come with a brand new home. Depending on what your appliance allowance is from the builder, a lot of the times it's only $3,500, $4,000. And that is all you get to go purchase your appliances. And we all know that buying fridge, stove, dishwasher, washer, dryer, all that stuff, it's gonna cost way more than $3,500. So you're gonna have to expect to spend a little bit more on your appliances as well. Now, I really want to discuss this one, and this should be discussed by you with your mortgage broker while you're early in the process and you're getting pre-approved for your home. But I had this conversation with clients last week. Now, the minimum down payment to put down on a house is 5%. If you put down anything less than 20%, you have to get default mortgage insurance.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
So it works on a scale. So depending on how much you put down, whether you put down 5% or 11% or 15%, the more you put down, the less you will have to pay. But anything under 20%, you will have to get the default mortgage insurance, also called CMHC insurance. And this is put in place to protect the lender in case you default on your mortgage. Now, I know this can seem like a huge pain in the butt and a huge expense, and a lot of people get pissed off about it. But it actually is a really good thing, because if we didn't have default mortgage insurance, you would have to save up 20% down in order to be allowed to buy a house. You wouldn't be allowed to put 5% down to purchase.
This is bad. This is really bad.
So your mortgage broker will be able to advise you about this default mortgage insurance. Make sure you ask about it if he doesn't bring it up. Again, I'm not the lender, I'm the realtor. But it can be rolled into your mortgage or can be paid in a lump sum, but you will have to pay it if you're putting down less than 20%. Now, if you're putting down more than 20%, you will not have to pay this default mortgage insurance, but there will be another extra cost because you don't have the insurance. The bank is going to send out an appraiser. They want to make sure that the home is worth what you're paying for it, because if you do stop paying your mortgage and you default on your mortgage, they want to make sure that if they have to sell it, if it goes into foreclosure, that they can sell it and get their money back. So they will send out an appraiser, and usually that will be anywhere from $350 to $500 in town, and it depends on square footage. So those are a few costs to expect. Actually, there's one more I do want to talk about too. We have to talk about the good faith deposit. So every time you write an offer on a home, you have to put down a good faith deposit. Usually in Alberta, it's typically 1% to 2% of the purchase price. The more you put down, the more it makes your offer look attractive. But usually we're starting around $5,000. If the home is $300,000, we could potentially put down $3,000. It is negotiable. The seller might come back and ask for more. Now, the good news is that this is 100% refundable. It comes back to you on closing and gets applied to your down payment. The only way that you can lose this deposit is if you were to waive all of your conditions. So if you had a finance condition and a property inspection, and you decided after you waive those conditions, you signed the waiver, and then you decided, oh, I don't want to buy the house. You just wasted that seller's time, and they are now going to keep your deposit, and it could possibly open you up to some litigation. So this isn't really an expense, but it is money you have to have access to when you do write the offer. And again, it's 100% refundable unless you waive conditions and then back out of the deal. And once the home closes, this comes back to you and gets applied to your down payment. All right, let's touch on the last one. Let's talk about closing costs. So in Alberta, you have to use a lawyer to handle the transaction. You can't use a notary like you can in BC and Ontario. The lawyer has a bunch of things that they need to do, and they are going to charge you for it, from photocopying, for couriers, for transferring the land title. Whatever they have to do, they are going to charge you for it. Now, again, this depends on the property. Depending on what the lawyer has to do, this can vary, but I usually tell clients to budget anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 for their lawyer fees. Now, people always ask me, how does this work when I live in Ontario or I live in BC? So the lawyer will send you all of the documents electronically. They will have to set up a video call with you. And the reason they have to set up that video call is because they actually need to witness you signing the documents. So there has been some good things that have came from COVID and all of this stuff that's went over the last couple of years. You can now sign things virtually, which is super nice for people moving here out of province. So you set up that video call, they witness you signing the papers, and then the original documents are couriered back to the lawyer here in Alberta. So again, you want to budget roughly $1,500 to $2,000 for the lawyer here in Alberta. And then of course, you have to move here. Obviously, you have to get your stuff here. So You're going to want to reach out. You're going to want to get a lot of quotes from different companies. You want to decide how you're going to move here. Are you going to do it the old-fashioned way? Are you going to use U-Haul? Are you going to use one of these new kind of like box style systems, big steel box or U-Box, where you load everything into a big steel box or a box and it gets shipped out here to Alberta. It can be stored in their storage facility, or you can get it shipped right to your house if you're moving in. But if you're not moving in, they'll keep it in their storage facility and they'll bring it to your property once you are ready to move in. Or you can do it the way that I would do it, because I hate moving. You can hire a moving company just to do everything for you. Load your house, drive it right to your new house here in Alberta, and pack everything in the house for you. That's all I got for you today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and click that notification bell so you're notified every single week when a new video comes out. And of course, if you have any questions or you need any help with your real estate needs, use this info popping up and get a hold of me any way you want. We'd love to hear from you. All right, guys, I will see you next week. Cheers.